Jesus said, there was a certain rich man who was splendidly clothed in purple and fine linen, and who lived each day in luxury. At his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, who was covered with sores. As Lazarus lay there longing for scraps from each of the rich man's table, the dogs would come and lick his open wounds or open sores. What does the color purple represent? It represents royalty.
Yeah.
Period. It represents royalty, the royalty of God. If you had on purple, you were somebody.
Yeah.
And you had something. And that's amazing that, we live in a world where people will sit by and watch you starve.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And while they live in royalty.
Question number 10 is, how are relationships between those who look like the rich man and those who look like Lazarus? How do those who are rich view those who are poor? Man, so the relationship, I feel like it's a charity relationship. It's a fake charity relationship. Just generally speaking, not speaking any specific, but it's like, ew, don't touch me. There is a there is a video of this homeless man that talks about how life you get struggles in life, and how those struggles are meant for you to help others. And he says that there was an encounter that he had with a homeless person, and he never asked the homeless person how he was doing. And I feel like, generally speaking, that's how it is. I'm a witness to this. Like, as an officer, I get calls of people walking down the street and they're not doing anything. And it's like, okay, well, literally, and it was a lot like in San Francisco, and it's a lot out here as well, they get a call that, hey, there's this man, he looks suspicious. What do you mean he looks suspicious? He looks suspicious. Okay, did you talk to him? No. I don't want to talk to him. He might do this, and that's why I feel like that's how it is. There's a reason why he stayed outside that gate. Yeah. There's a reason why. There's a reason why the dogs is licking his sores. If you have some dogs licking your sores, ain't nobody touching you. Ain't nobody talking to you. How do those who are rich view those who are poor? Yeah, if you're poor, you deserve it. You did that. Yeah. You did that to yourself. You did it. You didn't want to listen. I tried to, even those who maybe I tried to help you out, but you don't want to listen. No, I'm not going to give you anything anymore.
Unfortunately, we live in a society where, the rich look at people who are not rich as nobody. Mm-hmm. You're really nothing. Mm-hmm. And they even look at their rich constituents, or the people who they're in the circles with. If they're not, so say for instance, if you're in a circle if these two people are in the same circle and they rich, mm-hmm. This guy goes poor, this guy ain't gonna steal 9 times out of 10. He's not gonna still hang in his circle. Like, what, I know you, I know you poor now. You still my dude. Let's go do what we normally did. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate. That we look at each other according to. So thank you, Holy Spirit. I'm gonna go back to when Saul, the first king, was anointed king, mm-hmm. and the prophet said that you look at the outward appearance.
Yeah.
you look at the outward appearance. God looks at the heart, mm-hmm. and that's how the rich look at people. They look at the outward appearance, mm-hmm. at what you got, what you wearing.
Yeah.
And if you don't have, or the same thing they have, or not wearing the same thing that they're wearing, then 9 times out of 10, you're not a part of their circle. Mm-hmm. They don't want to have anything to do with you, and probably won't help you. Mm-hmm. Finally, the poor man died and was carried by the angels to sit beside Abraham at the heavenly banquet. The rich man also died and was buried, and he went to the place of the dead. There in torment he saw Abraham in the far distance with Lazarus at his side. The rich man shouted, "Father Abraham, have some pity. Send Lazarus over here to dip the tip of his finger in the water and cool my tongue. I'm in anguish in these flames. But Abraham said to him, Son, remember that during your lifetime you had everything you wanted, and Lazarus had nothing. So now he is here being comforted, and you are in anguish. Why do you believe the rich man was separated from Lazarus at his death? How does being filled affect our perspective on others?
Oh, filled with wealth. So excuse me on that.
Say that again. How
Filled with wealth.
again? We just talked about how how you look down on people. One of the people that I listened to, I think it was either T.D. Jakes or Les Brown. They said, there's no Brinks truck following your hearse when you go into your burial ground. You know what I mean? You can't take your money with you, in other words.
Yeah.
So bless somebody with the money. And this is an example of what happened to people who riches or wealth has become God to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people, I've had the displeasure of seeing them, but the displeasure of seeing their spirit where they are now, thinking that they thinking that they're God, or there is no God. And these are people who was raised in belief, raised in the faith, that fell away through these rich and wealthy circles that they have become a part of, only to end up. And I totally believe that this scripture was an example to show us where a lot of people who serve their riches, if we serve riches, we may end up there. Because when this guy was so much of a servant of his riches, he couldn't even think to give this man a penny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't even think that you so beneath me, you're not even worth me giving you a penny. And remember when Jesus said, enter into my kingdom, because when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was sick, and when I didn't have clothes, you clothed me. And the guy was like, when did I do that? He said, well, as much as you did it to the least of these, you've done it to me. As much as you didn't do it to the least of these, you didn't do it to me. And this is an example right here of the payment this man received as a result of seeing someone in need and not serving them, not helping them out.
Yeah. It's the wealth that you're serving that has become your God.
Yes.
And when you get filled with that, you get drunk with madness.
Yes.
It's like, no, I'm not going. Just like you said, everything that you said was spot on. Everything that you said was spot on. Now, with that, all that being said, why is it hard for the wealthy? I think we kind of touched on it. But why is it hard for the wealthy to enter heaven? Does being poor make it easier to get to heaven?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because you can be poor monetarily and rich spiritually. You know what I'm saying? You can be rich. Monetarily and poor spiritually, or you can be rich monetarily and rich spiritually.
Yeah.
So we have to define what poor is. When we talk about this, when we answer this question, are we poor in servitude? Are we poor in our love?
Poor in our finances.
Oh
No.
no. I don't think. Does being poor make it easier to enter into heaven? No, I don't. From a financial standpoint, I don't feel like that has a bearing. I feel like as much as being poor in love and poor in spirit, that's one of the things that disqualifies from heaven. It doesn't matter from a monetary standpoint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think that it matters from a monetary standpoint, because I know poor people and rich people that from a monetary standpoint, that's in heaven.
Yeah.
Some people that I know if I don't know anything else, I know you going to heaven.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like those who are wealthy, because of their lifestyle, they get distracted easily because you're making so much connections, and you have a lot of resources, and that kind of blocks your view of God, of relying on God. You start to rely on these resources, and that's what makes it hard. Versus the poor, you have limited resources. So for the things that you can't do, you kind of like pray to God for, you know, and it keeps you close with God. But overall, like, no, you going to heaven is not based on your wealth.
Right.
But there's also can be distractions too when you are poor, because when you're so poor, you're distracted by your circumstance. So you're like, all right, I gotta go get it my way. I gotta get it my way.
Yep.
But
Totally agree.
Yep. But I feel like those who have less of the world and the resources, they're the ones that's going to be closer with God. Because I feel like there's a reason why people who are in Africa and who are in India, they're a lot more spiritual than us, because there's not a lot of distractions. You know, yeah, that's why I believe that they're a lot more spiritual, because there's no Western world perspectives that they have that that we may carry.
I totally agree with you with that. However, I want to still, because okay, we live in the world today that it's going to take wealth to reach a lot of people.
Yep.
Right? And so some of us has to have that wealth in order to be able to pour it into God's children.
Yep.
And so, because again, I know some people, some men and women of God who are wealthy and 100% pouring that wealth back into the kingdom. You know what I mean? Building God's kingdom with that wealth hasn't allowed that wealth to blind them.
Yeah.
And I know some who has.
Yeah.
don't get it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I know some who has allowed the wealth, the monetary wealth or the physical wealth to blind their eyes and get them to take their eyes off of God and start to look at the riches rather than God. And one of the reasons why I say that, because I had a vision. I had God spoke to me, about what it is that I do. He told me, he said, you're not going to get your wealth through what you're doing from a recovery coaching and a speaking standpoint, because he said, I don't want you to ever forget your heart for the people. You're going to get your wealth in other ways where you can still pour into the people with your wealth as well. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a matter of staying in the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
As God opens up these doors and pours out these whatever type, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, financial, whatever type of wealth that God pours out, we have to make sure that we are already rooted and grounded. So when that comes, it won't be something that get us distracted. However, it'd be say, okay, now you released it, let me do more. It's time for me to do now. I now have these resources. I can reach more people for the kingdom.